The first thing that you have to do in any property division divorce is you have to make a list of the assets. You have to identify what exists. And the fundamentals of it are actually very simple. You make a list and then you negotiate and divide what's there. But there's a lot of very specific complexities in it. Some of those specifics are that you have to know what type of things are actually what value they appear to be. So the difference between pre-tax and post-tax assets make a very big difference. And if you own a business, that valuation is especially important because you have to figure out what that business is worth. And you also have to identify when each of the assets was purchased and what's called characterize them. You have to figure out whether it's community property or separate property. And if it's community property or separate property, there's essentially what's called the three different estates. Each spouse's separate estate, and then there's the community estate. So if you think of the community is like y'all owning it, as opposed to separate is you own it. So you own it or your spouse owns it. And in general, separate property is anything received by gift or inheritance or that you owned prior to the marriage. And then community property is anything that was earned or obtained during the marriage. And these are general rules, but the rules and specifics of it are very complicated. And there's very fine line distinctions, which is why you absolutely have to have an attorney, and they're going to figure out and determine exactly what each one of those assets are worth. Once you've identified and figured all those things out, then you have to figure out, well, if it's the community property, did the separate estates enhance the value of the separate property to where the separate estates have a reimbursement claim from the community, or did the community enhance the separate estates to where the community is entitled to a reimbursement? Then once you do that, then you have to figure out offsets to the reimbursement, because maybe, for example, the community got a tax benefit from the fact that you had something happening in the separate estates that then entitles the reimbursement to be reduced by what's called an offset. So it gets really complicated, and what our job is to deal with that complexity, make it simple, make it understandable, and make sure that you don't accidentally make a mistake that costs you an immense amount of money. The higher the net worth that you have, the more important it is that you have an attorney. And a lot of people are like, but we don't want to get attorneys involved because they're going to make it complicated and it's going to get expensive and increase the fighting. At our firm, we don't want to increase the fighting. At our firm, in fact, the first thing that we attempt to do is declare peace, and then we try to negotiate the peace. We want to end the fighting, not increase it. Sometimes we have to increase it in order to end it, but that's never our first choice. And our brand of soft divorce and our brand of healthy divorce are designed and customized to convey that message to where people don't think that you're going to war. We don't want people to freak out and fear the process, because fear is a major motivator, and fear is easily manipulated by a greedy attorney, for example, or the other side, or even your side's friends, family. They all want the best for you, but they're going to tell you a lot of really bad advice. So you've got to get an attorney that believes in things like we do. Why we do what we do is to get you through the process in the healthiest way possible. Because when we do what we do, how we do, why we do, we almost always get better results than you can even possibly get by going to court. A divorce is ended one of two different ways, either by an agreement or by a full and final trial where a judge or a jury determines what happens in your life. Our guiding light, the light at the end of that tunnel, is we focus on what's healthy. If you're driving in a NASCAR, making a lot of left turns, if you look at the wall on the left or you look at the wall on the right, you're going to hit the wall. You point the car in the direction that you want to go. If you spin out, you point the wheels in the direction that you want to go. If you're skiing and you're worried about hitting the trees and you look at the trees, you're going to hit the trees. Where do you look when you're skiing in order to make sure you don't hit the trees? You look at the space in between the trees where you want to go. In a divorce, where do we want to go? We want to go towards healthy. We don't want to be focusing on the negative. The negative's not going to go away. We all know what the negative is, and we can use the negative if we need to. But more often, when we focus on what's healthy, we maximize the deal for both sides. Usually both sides, even the side that we don't represent, get a better deal for them that's customized. And you definitely don't want to do this on your own. You don't want to do this yourself because you don't know what you don't know. So your level of experience is experimenting based on things you look up on the internet, which are most likely going to be completely wrong or inappropriate for your situation. And you haven't gone to law school. You haven't taken the LSAT to get into law school. You haven't passed all your classes. You haven't graduated. Then you didn't study for the bar exam. You didn't pass the bar exam. And then you didn't go to work for an attorney like me or for a law firm like we have, where you've done your first several hundred cases under the leadership and mentorship of a very experienced attorney who's learned all of these different things. And you haven't made the mistake that young attorneys make consistently over and over again, that they all make, of the things that sound good and you think this is correct, but turns out it's not. And turns out it doesn't actually work the way that you think it does. By hiring a firm like ours, for example, I'm always here on every case. You will always have access to me and all of the resources that we have from our entire team, because we work all of our cases as a team. You're not just limited to what your attorney knows. In fact, the discussions that we have among the entire team, even suggestions from a paralegal, suggestions from an administrator, suggestions from a legal assistant, suggestions from an associate attorney, suggestions from a managing attorney, suggestions from me personally, the owner of the firm, and the most senior attorney that we have. And by the way, we've actually got an attorney that's at our firm that's got more experience than I do. He and I went to law school together. You've got this whole group of people that all talk and figure out and determine the best procedure and the best strategies for your particular case, as opposed to you trying to figure this out on your own. It's impossible. If you had done all those things, if you had gotten a bachelor's degree, passed law school, done your first 300 to 500 cases, and been practicing for 5 or 10 years, at that point you would know you definitely don't do your own divorce. Because you don't know what you don't know, and you have no way of determining what it is that you know. You won't know what your blind spots are. It takes experience. And you also won't know different things. Like, for example, pickups are almost always better than a drop-off. Why? Because in a drop-off, let's say you and your child then drive to the other parent's house. They're not there. You're sitting and waiting. And anytime you're sitting and waiting, you have to sit and wait in a car. And is that safe? I mean, it's a nice neighborhood, but break-ins happen everywhere. And so you're sitting in the car for 15 or 20 minutes, and what can you do in the car? As opposed to you and the child are waiting for the parent to come pick you up. They're late. You just still enjoy your safety and comfort and enjoyment of the house. And then they finally show up. Oh, child just goes out to the car, goes back with the other parent. The child never has that has to wait in the car problem. It's little things like that that we know that you're not going to know. To further explain on that, if you meet in the middle, then somebody always gets there first. Somebody's waiting in the lack of safety in a car. Where are you, at a gas station or police station? YouTube some videos of people getting robbed and broken into right in front of the police station. It happens wherever it is that you're going to meet. And little advice like the fact that if you can make it there and back in one day and then they make it there and back, still usually pickups are better than drop-offs. Tiny little things like that. The fact of if you got a high earner on one side and then a stay-at-home parent on the other side, that transferring retirement funds from this one to this one then allows you to save a 10% penalty on withdrawal. Well, if you're planning on withdrawing $1 million out of a retirement account, that'll save you $100,000. Now, for a high net worth divorce, it depends. Here's how you have to value that. Compare us to a realtor. If you're going to sell a $10 million house, you're going to pay 3% to 2 realtors and about 2 to 3% in closing costs. That's about 8%, maybe 9, maybe 6 if you don't have to pay any of the closing costs. But at an 8% of a $10 million house, that's $800,000 that you're going to pay just to sell your $10 million house. Well, if we're dealing with a $10 million estate or maybe $20 million estate, let's say you actually have a $10 million house, and then you have another $50 million in investments and retirements, we're dividing $50 million. And essentially what happens is y'all who own everything together, I'm going to talk about y'all being a separate entity. That entity, like y'all is its own person. Y'all is essentially selling everything that y'all owns and distributing the proceeds between the two spouses. If we were to sell $50 million at an 8%, that's $4 million. The vast majority of divorce cases, if you're at an 8-figure divorce, if you're going to spend $250,000 to even $500,000, we're still going to be less than a realtor. And it's highly unlikely that we're going to have to do that. But if we do have to do that, it's part of the process, but you value it based on a percentage. We're almost always less than a realtor. I have to say almost. Let me put that almost into perspective. If you ask me, hey, Dana, if I buy a $1 lottery ticket, could I win the Mega Millions? Could I win the big lottery, the $1 billion lottery? I have to legally tell you, yes, you could win that. But the odds are astronomical against you. If you ask me those things, I have to say almost always less than a realtor. Because there are occasions, very few occasions, but there are occasions where we're more expensive than a realtor. But if you're comparing us, who's more important? Your lawyer or your realtor? Realtor is going to get you a little bit more. Lawyer might protect you entirely. Lawyer is going to help you keep your kids. Lawyer is going to help you make sure that you keep the proper amount of money, and that also we do things like have balance to where the other parent can be the best parent that they can be for your children as well. Because if you're only going to value things in a divorce on money, especially when there's children involved, then you need to put a dollar value on every single aspect of that, such as how much is it worth to you that your kids don't hate you for the way that you treated their other parent? How you handle your divorce is critical for the entire path of the rest of your life. It's one of the most important decisions that you can make. So are you going to go after somebody that's just focused on, we're going to make them pay, we're going to punish them, we're going to get you revenge? I'm going to tell you this right now. If you want revenge, you will not like us as a law firm, and we will not like you. You will fire us, or we will fire you, and you'll give us a 1-star review. And you can count how many 1-star reviews I have, because those people are the wrong type of people. And one of the reasons why I'm making this video is to tell you that, so that you screen yourself out, or you screen yourself in. If you want a healthy divorce, if you want to get through the process in the healthiest way possible, if you want what we call a soft divorce, because divorce doesn't have to be so hard, then we're the perfect law firm for you, and you're the perfect client for us. We have a very strict no revenge policy. I'm a competitive skeet shooter. And in shooting skeet, they're clay targets that come from a machine that the two machines are set, and we move around the field shooting them from different angles, and targets that come one way, this way, and this way. And it's a very specific motion, and skeet is a game of perfection. It's like playing a musical instrument that but not even as flexible. Because in a musical instrument, it's like, how beautiful can I make it? I can add expression. In skeet, you're trying to do the same thing over and over again perfectly. And the key to it is getting a good start. It's critical. If you don't get a good start, you're missing that target. There's no way to recover, or you're going to scramble and maybe you get lucky, your form falls apart, you push, it's just not good. It's the same thing in a divorce. You want to get a good start. And so how you begin the process, that you declare peace, and that you have, for example, a brand that says soft divorce, because divorce doesn't have to be so hard. If you get served a divorce petition and it's got everything in there, it's like, they even want me to pay their attorney's fees? Like we get that all the time. You know what that does? It helps lawyers on that particular case bill a whole lot of money, because we work by the hour. My mission in life is to change the way that people approach the divorce process. So if you start out that way, then all of a sudden you're driving a wedge and you're increasing the fighting, and the lawyers are going to bill a whole lot of money on both sides. I don't want to do that. And what I'm trying to do is solve their problem to my standards of excellence, to get them through the process in the healthiest way possible. I don't want to we have to get paid for what it is that we do, but I'm not trying to generate work from them. I'm trying to do the exact opposite. And I know that pays it forward. We will have a continual flow. We get referral after referral after referral. Here's a bad story. Hey, Dana, how was your divorce? Oh, man, it was horrible. It lasted 2 years and cost me $350,000. And man, it was just a total nightmare. And my kids hate me now. But you know what? I won in the end. I'm so happy. And I had a great lawyer. You should hire them. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll get their name from you later. As opposed to, hey, Dana, how was your divorce? Man, it was great. It cost me about 20 grand. We got it done in about 4 months. We got through the process in a really healthy way. We had some animosity. Our lawyer even taught us how to put that behind us, gave us some strategies on how to handle our relationship going forward. We're good co-parents. We basically solved the problem. It was a miracle. I'm really thankful. I had a great attorney. Really? Can I get their name from you? Who was it? What's their number? I'd rather do 10 cases for $100,000 than one case for $100,000. I'd rather do 10 cases for $10,000 each. I hate divorce. I don't believe in divorce. I think of divorce as a nightmare. It's the worst thing that can happen to anybody. I see people getting married, like marriage is you invite your whole family. It's one of your biggest celebrations. Nobody wants their marriage to go badly. And I really struggled with, wait, you're picking divorce? My wife and I both struggle. It's like, no, it can't be divorce. Can't be. My wife's the only one that didn't like the brand of soft divorce the first time she heard it. The reason why is she didn't want me to be a divorce lawyer, and neither did I. But then I was like, well, Summer, the clients that we have out of all the areas of law that we were doing, because my first 5 years I did pretty much anything that anybody worked in a restaurant would need, because I waited tables through law school because I had to. I worked and earned it. My first day having a license, I was actually waiting tables that day, and the day it came in. They're like, Dana, you're a lawyer. Can you help me with this problem? Can you help me with this problem? And so I went from problem to problem, and I was like, okay, well, after like 6 weeks, I was like, I guess I own a law firm. The happiest and best clients that we have are our divorce clients. And I know why. It's because somebody told me early on that you don't handle a divorce case like any other area of law. All areas of law, there's clear wins and loses. Like, did I go to jail or not? Did I get the death penalty or did I get life? Guilty or not guilty in criminal defense? Or in money, is like, how much money did I save myself? They were suing me for $1 billion. I didn't have to pay anything. Like, you won $1 billion. Or I was suing them for $1 billion and I won $100 million, so I won $100 million. Like, that's clear win or lose. But divorce has so many intangibles. It's not about just measure it in one. Put the blinders on. I'm going to measure it this. Like, don't pay attention to the house burning down behind me. I got the motorcycle. It's about so many different things. You have to take a holistic, overall, big picture look at the forest and appreciate that there's trees in it. But we have to get you on a path to healthiness. Our areas of law determine your entire future and your entire life, the structure of your family. Don't do this alone. You got to find somebody that wants and has focused for 18 years on helping people get through this process in a healthy way. And we have experience after experience after experience about what works and what doesn't. I have a hobby. I talk with people who have experienced divorce, whether they were the child of a divorce, whether they got divorced themselves and then raised kids, whether they co-parented. And so I know all of these different things that sounded like they were going to work, and some did and some didn't. I know which ones are which, and I know what things have better chances and better odds for you to have a healthy future. That's what we're going to be helping you to get. And we don't define the other side as the enemy.